The requirement for 25 ohms resistance between the busbar and the ground electrode is not explicitly stated in Article 250 of the National Electrical Code, or NEC. However, it may be implied by NEC 250.50. A2, which states the grounding electrode system shall be tested in accordance with Part 5 of Article 250 to ensure that a resistance to ground of not more than 25 ohms is achieved, and NEC 250.66. C1, which states the resistance to ground of a driven ground rod installed in accordance with 250.52. A5 shall be tested in accordance with Part 5 of Article 250. The purpose of grounding is to provide a low resistance path for fault currents and lightning strikes to flow into the earth and dissipate safely. A resistance of less than 25 ohms is considered low resistance and ensures that any fault currents or surges will be effectively diverted away from equipment and personnel. The requirement for 25 ohms resistance is typically applicable to, firstly, main grounding electrodes such as driven rods, buried plates, OU for grounds, secondly, grounding electrodes for isolated power systems, and thirdly, grounding electrodes for lightning protection systems. The resistance between the busbar and the ground electrode is measured using a ground resistance tester. The test should be performed after the grounding system has been installed and before it is connected to the electrical system. The resistance may vary depending on soil conditions and moisture levels. For high-resistance soils, multiple grounding electrodes may be necessary to achieve a resistance of less than 25 ohms. In some jurisdictions, local amendments to the NEC may require a specific resistance value for the ground electrode. Grounding is a critical aspect of electrical safety. It provides a path for fault current to return to the source, allowing overcurrent protective devices like circuit breakers or fuses to trip and de-energize the circuit, preventing electrical shock hazards and equipment damage. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides guidelines and requirements for proper grounding and bonding to ensure electrical systems are installed safely. The grounding electrode system is a vital component of the overall grounding system. It connects the electrical system to the earth, providing a reference point and a path for fault current dissipation. The grounding electrode system typically consists of one or more grounding electrodes, such as ground rods, ground plates, or underground metallic water pipes, connected together to form a comprehensive grounding network. The 25 ohms resistance requirement, although not explicitly stated as a mandatory limit in all sections of Article 250, is the generally accepted benchmark for effective grounding. A lower resistance to ground indicates a better connection to the earth, which facilitates the rapid dissipation of fault current and reduces the potential for voltage build-up on grounded metal parts. The NEC specifies various methods for testing the resistance of the grounding electrode system. These methods typically involve using a ground resistance tester, also known as an earth tester, to measure the resistance between the grounding electrode and a remote reference point in the earth. The three-point fall of potential method is a common testing technique used to determine the resistance of the grounding electrode. This method involves driving two auxiliary ground rods into the earth at specific distances from the grounding electrode being tested. The ground resistance tester then applies a test current between the grounding electrode and one of the auxiliary ground rods, and measures the voltage drop between the grounding electrode and the other auxiliary ground rod. Based on the measured current and voltage values, the tester calculates the resistance of the grounding electrode. The test should be performed under normal soil conditions to obtain accurate results. Soil resistivity can vary significantly depending on factors such as moisture content, temperature, and mineral composition. Dry or sandy soil typically has higher resistivity than moist or clay-rich soil. Therefore, it may be necessary to install multiple grounding electrodes or use ground-enhancing materials to achieve the desired resistance to ground in areas with high soil resistivity. Ground-enhancing materials, such as bentonite clay or chemical ground rods, can improve the conductivity of the soil and reduce the resistance of the grounding electrode system. These materials are often used in challenging soil conditions where it is difficult to achieve a low resistance to ground using conventional grounding methods. The size and type of grounding electrode conductors are also important considerations for effective grounding. Grounding electrode conductors must be sized appropriately to handle the maximum available fault current. The NEC provides tables and guidelines for sizing grounding electrode conductors based on the size of the service entrance conductors or the derived system conductors. Grounding electrode conductors must be made of copper, aluminum, or other approved materials and must be protected from physical damage. The connection between the grounding electrode conductor and the grounding electrode must be made using approved methods, such as exothermic welding or listed connectors. Proper bonding is also essential for ensuring electrical safety. Bonding refers to the connection of all non-current carrying metal parts of the electrical system to the grounding electrode system. This includes metal conduits, metal enclosures, metal equipment frames, and other metal parts that could become energized in the event of a fault. Bonding creates a low impedance path for fault current to flow back to the source, allowing overcurrent protective devices to trip and clear the fault quickly. The NEC specifies requirements for bonding different types of metal parts in the electrical system. These requirements vary depending on the type of equipment, the voltage level, and the location of the equipment. Bonding conductors must be sized appropriately to handle the available fault current and must be installed in accordance with the NEC requirement. In addition to grounding and bonding, surge protection is another important aspect of electrical safety. Surge protective devices, or SPDs, are designed to protect electrical equipment from transient voltage surges caused by lightning strikes, utility switching, or other electrical disturbances. SPD diverts surge current away from sensitive electronic equipment, preventing damage and downtime. The NEC requires SPD to be installed in certain locations, such as service entrances, distribution panels, and branch circuits that serve sensitive electronic equipment. SPD must be selected and installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and the NEC requirements. Regular inspection and testing of the grounding and bonding system are essential for ensuring its continued effectiveness. Grounding connections can corrode over time, and bonding conductors can become loose or damaged. Periodic inspections can identify potential problems before they lead to electrical hazards. Ground resistance testing should be performed periodically to verify that the grounding electrode system is still providing a low resistance to ground. The frequency of inspections and testing depends on the type of electrical system, the environmental conditions, and the local requirements. Qualified electrical professionals should perform inspections and testing of grounding and bonding systems. They have the knowledge and experience to identify potential problems and recommend appropriate solutions. They also have the proper equipment and training to perform ground resistance testing and other electrical measurements safely and accurately. Local amendments to the NEC may include additional requirements for grounding and bonding. These amendments may be based on local soil conditions, weather patterns, or other factors specific to the area. It is important to be aware of any local amendments to the NEC and to comply with them when installing or maintaining electrical systems. Proper grounding and bonding are essential for electrical safety. By following the NEC requirements and best practices for grounding, bonding, and surge protection, you can help ensure the safety of people and equipment. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to consult with a qualified electrical professional if you have any questions or concerns about grounding or bonding. Electrical systems should only be installed by a licensed professional. Article 250 of the National Electrical Code, or NEC, is dedicated to grounding and bonding requirements for electrical systems. It provides comprehensive guidelines for ensuring electrical safety by establishing a low impedance path for fault currents to return to the source, thereby facilitating the operation of overcurrent protective devices like circuit breakers and fuses. Grounding and bonding are essential for minimizing the risk of electrical shock, fire, and equipment damage. Article 250 covers a wide range of topics related to grounding and bonding, including grounding electrode systems, grounding conductors, bonding conductors, equipment grounding, and system grounding. It also addresses specific requirements for different types of electrical systems, such as alternating current or AC systems, direct current or DC systems, and separately derived systems. The grounding electrode system is a critical component of the overall grounding system. It provides a connection to the earth which serves as a reference point for the electrical system and a path for fault current dissipation. The grounding electrode system typically consists of one or more grounding electrodes, such as ground rods, ground plates, or underground metallic water pipes, connected together to form a comprehensive grounding network. The NEC specifies requirements for the type, size, and installation of grounding electrodes. Ground rods, for example, must be at least 8 feet long and must be driven into the ground to a depth of at least 8 feet. Ground plates must have a surface area of at least 2 square feet and must be buried below the permanent moisture level. Underground metallic water pipes can be used as grounding electrodes if they meet certain requirements, such as being electrically continuous and having at least 10 feet of contact with the earth. The grounding electrode conductor connects the grounding electrode system to the electrical system. It provides a path for fault current to flow from the electrical system to the earth. The NEC specifies requirements for the size and material of the grounding electrode conductor. The size of the grounding electrode conductor is typically based on the size of the service entrance conductors or the derived system conductors. The grounding electrode conductor must be made of copper, aluminum, or other approved materials. Bonding conductors are used to connect all non-current carrying metal parts of the electrical system to the grounding electrode system. This includes metal conduits, metal enclosures, metal equipment frames, and other metal parts that could become energized in the event of a fault. Bonding creates a low impedance path for fault current to flow back to the source, allowing overcurrent protective devices to trip and clear the fault quickly. The NEC specifies requirements for bonding different types of metal parts in the electrical system. These requirements vary depending on the type of equipment, the voltage level, and the location of the equipment. Equipment grounding refers to the grounding of non-current carrying metal parts of electrical equipment, such as appliances, tools, and machinery. Equipment grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, protecting users from electrical shock hazards. The NEC specifies requirements for equipment grounding conductors which are used to connect the metal parts of electrical equipment to the grounding system. System grounding refers to the grounding of the neutral conductor of an electrical system. System grounding provides a stable reference point for the voltage and helps to limit voltage surges. The NEC specifies requirements for system grounding, which vary depending on the type of electrical system and the voltage level. Separately derived systems are electrical systems that receive power from a source other than the utility grid, such as generators or transformers. The NEC specifies requirements for grounding separately derived systems to ensure electrical safety. Article 250 also addresses specific requirements for grounding and bonding in hazardous locations, such as areas where flammable gases or vapors are present. These requirements are designed to minimize the risk of explosions and fires in hazardous locations. In addition to the specific requirements outlined in Article 250, the NEC also includes general requirements for grounding and bonding that apply to all electrical systems. These general requirements are intended to ensure that all electrical systems are properly grounded and bonded to provide a safe and reliable electrical system. The NEC is a complex and comprehensive document, and it is important to consult with a qualified electrical professional when installing or maintaining electrical systems. A qualified electrical professional can help you understand the NEC requirements and ensure that your electrical system is properly grounded and bonded.